it would not have hit, would not have come with, we wouldn't have gotten that call if we had an employee taking the call. I don't mean to be disrespectful. We have good employees, good staff, but they wouldn't have known how to answer that call. It's scary, being at this point in our lives, but we had to embrace it. Talking about with AI, embracing technology, that is one way that has really helped us as a business, and as well as Becky and I's relationship, is because we've invested in technology to help us get through that. Now, Becky, God bless her, she's probably gonna get upset. She'll be 52 this year. I'll be 50, and so it seems probably scary. Technology, scary, like this whole AI thing that's out there.
By the way, I don't think AI is going to help you get out of trouble for sharing her age with the world here.
No,
so, yeah,
no.
Sorry about that. It's been really good knowing you though. Up to this point. If there's anything else you want to leave for the world here, you should do it now. Hey, what's up, guys? It's Jordan with the Laundromat Resource podcast. This is episode 215, and I'm pumped you're here today because today we have Nicholas Gomez on the show today. And you know what? I received a message from him, and he said to me, "Hey, I would love to share on the podcast how AI turned my laundromat business around." And I was like, color me intrigued. I've got to hear this story. And that is the story that we're going to hear today from Nicholas. Listen, I get it. If you're kind of like, oh man, another AI thing, I get it. You might be tired of it. This is not only AI stuff. There's a lot of really great stuff laundromat related in here, but you shouldn't be tired of AI stuff because there's a lot going on with AI. It's changing really quickly all the time right now. So we're going to jump into it with Nicholas here in a second. You're going to have your mind blown away by what he's got going on. However, real quick, before we jump into that, I just want to take a second to invite you to come hang out with me in Hawaii once again. I am putting on an event, the Laundromat Accelerator Hawaii. It's November 21st and 24th. It's going to be on the sandy beaches and sun-shining waters. I don't know, waters on sunshine, reflections on the water. I don't know. We're going to be in Waikiki Beach putting on a small laundromat event here where the focus of it is we're bringing in high-level people to help you specifically improve your specific business. That is the focus of this. This is an action-based event here. We're intentionally capping it at 20. No more than 20 people are coming to this thing. And laundromat specific, this is an opportunity for you to get in the room with people who are laundromat nerds, just like you, just like me. And we're going to talk all things laundromats. And you're going to walk away from this thing with a 90-day plan to increase the revenue of your laundromat. And in fact, I mentioned on the news episode last week, I'm so confident that you will get bare minimum, 3 times the value of your investment of buying a ticket to this thing, that I will give you a money back guarantee. If you don't feel like you're walking away with at least 3 times your investment in this ticket, I will refund you your money personally out of my personal paycheck that I don't really get, but I will refund you. I'm that confident. And listen, not only are you going to get great stuff, it's going to be in Hawaii, in paradise here. And while we're going to be networking hard, we're going to be working hard on your business. This is going to be a working thing. We're going to be actually working on your business. But let's just be real. We're going to be in Hawaii. We're going to be on Waikiki. So we're going to kick this thing off with a cruise off of Waikiki Beach to watch the fireworks over Waikiki Beach on Friday night and doing some, hanging out and enjoying time together before we roll into the weekend where we're going to hit it hard with some incredible people coming to help you specifically with your business. We've got some different things planned that you don't really get at any of these other events that have more people at them, like hot seats, where we're going to have a panel of people that are going to help you with your business, tackle your business's biggest problems, whether that's getting into the business or probably more likely, how can you fix existing problems in your business, or how can you scale your business, right? And we're going to have some hot seats where you're going to get input from some real pros on how to do that in your business. And obviously there's going to be a lot of good information, a lot of good tools and resources. We are Laundromat Resource after all. So you're going to get some resources, and we're going to wrap this thing up with a little bit lighter on the work side, still some work, but a little bit lighter on the work side. On the last day, on Monday, we're going to all cruise over to the other side of the island to Kualoa Ranch, where they filmed Jurassic Park, Lost, and a bunch of other movies. And we're heading over to Secret Island, where we're going to spend the day doing a little bit of work, but a whole lot of playing on the water. We've got kayaks. We've got stand-up paddle boards. There's turtles swimming around over there. You can go out to the sandbar, play some volleyball, or, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on over there. It's going to be a good time. Or you just kind of hang out too. We'll have food galore all weekend. I mean, it's just going to be great. I'm just excited about it. I'm excited for some of you guys to come out and hang out with me and some other, like I said, high level people that are going to be there. And listen, you're going to leave here with a better business. That's a personal guarantee. So listen, come on out to Hawaii. Check out laundromatresource.com/Hawaii if you're interested, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Okay. Without further ado, let's jump into it with Nicholas and talk about how AI turned his laundromat around. Nicholas, thank you for coming on the show, man. How are you doing today?
Doing fabulous. It's a beautiful, humid day here in northern Michigan. So it's unlike the weather I hear that's going on in Hawaii. I'm a little jealous that you're there. Yeah. It's a beautiful day, and things are jiving really well. So couldn't be any happier.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, you're safe from the recent tsunami threat that we had out there in Michigan. And it turns out we also were safe from that, but a little chaos ensued leading up to it. But yeah. Listen, man, I am super excited to get into it with you today. We just had a little chat before we hit record, and it got me super jazzed up. We're going to hit some topics that are near and dear to my heart, and I'm super excited about in the industry as well. So as we jump into that, tell us a little bit about you and maybe how you got into the business and when you got into the business. And then we'll go from there.
Yeah. So in general, I have a wife, a partner. She would be here, but she does have a day job. And she's doing that
for now.
Yeah. She is a little jealous, not little, but a lot. And, but she's the reason why I'm here. So let me give you the timeline. 4.5 years ago, we're like a December, just a random December. We'll just call it Tuesday, right? And she was in the kitchen with me, and I said, "Hey, if there's ever a business that you wanted to own, what would it be?" And she said, "A laundromat." Now, Jordan, I've been with that woman for 20 plus years. I don't want to do the math and embarrass myself.
Yeah. Right.
And I'm like, laundromat? Like, where'd that come from?
There's a lot of I'm having flashbacks to the same, because that's how it worked out for me as well. Keep going, yeah.
So we just went through a whole conversation about that. Now, that being said, I've been in the fishing sporting goods bait business since 2002. And it's about 15 years ago, I invested in live bait and tackle vending machines. So she's been on a roller coaster ride with me as far as unique entrepreneurship and making money other ways in business. So for her to say laundromat, that kind of was a different thing for me, because it actually sounded normal. Not counting harms.
That's funny. Yeah, that's funny. Normally people are like, "That's weird," but you're like, "Oh, that sounds like more normal."
Yeah. So there's a little more normal than that. So I just said, "Hey, that's a unique thing. Let's check it out." We hopped on the old YouTubes, discovered you, and started going through your resources on YouTube and the blog posting and other social medias and, content creators that are out there that are creating great content about this thing that everybody calls passive income, huge air quotes. And Becky was fortunate enough to grow up next to a husband and a wife that owned a laundromat in the town that we live in. And I said, hey, why don't you give them a call? Like, you're good friends with them and blah, blah. And come to find out, well, the husband had passed away at that time or whatever. And so she made a connection with the daughter. And she says, actually, I'm taking care of the laundromat. Got this, mom isn't doing this, she's retired and blah, blah. And so she took over that. So she had a lot of questions and went through the whole discovery phase, asking questions. So I would say if you're looking at getting in this industry, find somebody, ask a lot of questions, go with a piece of paper and some questions ahead of time, make it worth their time, add value to their time, and then get those questions asked or answered, ask them and get them answered, or, come to good resources like you have, Jordan, and jump in a community. I think community is important when you want to make a big investment of either your time or other resources. And long story short, in that, we discovered you don't need to own a laundromat to be in the laundry business. So we sat down, her and I sat down, and we said things we won't do if we're going to get in this business. One, we weren't going to do like, well, you don't need to, let me back up. You don't need to own a laundromat to be in the laundry business. So that meant that we could do pickup and delivery. Okay, so then pickup and delivery is an option. Use other laundromats. There's other people that were doing that. Where are we positioned in the market in Northern Michigan? Well, that's unique. Let's be a pioneer if we can. And then, so we wouldn't do laundry at our home. That was off the table. Check, not going to do that. The other part is because I am passionate about technology. I said we have to implement some sort of technology. We're not going to do a paper and pen, phone calls, text messages. And so we went on a discovery doing pickup and delivery concept using technology. And then we started out, and we are still with Clean Cloud as a POS system. We started out with them. They're more affordable at that time for our pickup and delivery, and there still are. It's a good system. And then we just went to running with it, acquired some clients, and then 2 years ago, as of today, I was telling you just before we hit record, we decided to take that cash we stacked and allocate some resources to a personal laundromat. And we did. And so this is our 2-year anniversary as of today. And it's been a fun opportunity. So that's how I got into the business with Becky. She's a pioneer, and really she's got a heart with the business. It's just I think it's fortunate, but unfortunate. She also has her day job where she touches the community in different ways. So it's kind of hard to give up that good pay and benefits because she is the insurance holder. So
yeah.
The retirement, and,
not a lot of insurance benefits in bait and tackle vending. Is that
no?
No. There's no like bait and tackle vending union or association or anything.
No, it's
Well, that's one vending machine I haven't seen in a laundromat. Did you put one of them in your laundromat?
Last year I had one. I took off location. I put it out front here. It did quite well.
Really?
But it takes away from the brand that we're trying to establish. We don't want to be like, a bait tackle shop / candy shop / then you get your tires changed,
exactly. Exactly.
We just want to focus on laundry. And so just to recap too about the bait tackle. So as of this year, I am 100% out of the live bait tackle vending business. And I pulled my last machine just shortly after Memorial Weekend, and it's focusing on laundry now. That's all awesome we're doing, or I'm doing. alongside Becky. So, but yeah,
trading in the worms for the turns. I love it.
I love it.
I love it. Yeah.
Worms to turns. Yeah.
Okay. So let's rewind it here a little bit and maybe dig in a little bit more. First of all, very cool that you are sort of pioneered this pickup and delivery without owning a laundromat early on. How did that go? I mean, you casually mentioned that you decided to start this business and picked up a couple clients, they just fell in your lap or something. How did you actually launch? Because I get asked this a lot. Like, how do you actually launch pickup and delivery without owning a location, a brick and mortar location?
So, stemming from my experience being in the business I was and trying to identify locations for vending machines, and I took a lot of that knowledge and I said, okay, I need to find my anchor. I need to find a set of anchor clients. And even if it's making less profit than what I want, this is just me talking for us, Becky and I, that if I can, my goal was, and strategy was find 10 that I could see us establishing $35 a stop times 10 per week as $350 per week, right? Mm-hmm. You're going to have some come and go, but that was the ultimate goal. And we achieved that. We went through our friend list. We went through church people, we went to senior organizations and just trying to identify the market that would be a good fit, the pickup delivery for, asking and then just doing different things in that. But the whole strategy was to find a set of core people that would help us, one, establish our processes, our outreach as far as finding and acquiring more customers, because if you're doing well for them, they're going to talk about you, right? And then also see how much of a demand it would be accepted in the community. Like, are there more people calling, or are they asking for other services? Hey, do you do dry cleaning? Well, I don't do dry cleaning, and okay, but I do know a place I could take it to. Is that something you'd be interested in? So it's just kind of those type of things. I will say it is a logistical, the pickup delivery without owning a facility can be a logistical nightmare. Yeah. And my experience from the vending and knowing and understanding routing and making money at each stop, like I had it calculated in my head that every time that I rolled my truck to go to a machine, I was dumping $20. It didn't matter if it was from this location to 15 miles away or a mile away, it was a $20 stop. So I had to take that strategy and apply it to the pickup and delivery as well. Every time I went to a stop, I had to allocate, I think we allocated like $7 per stop and what it cost us. Now, at times it didn't. It cost much less. At times it cost a little bit more. But on the average, it was a certain percentage. So we did that in solving our logisticals of it. And then I will say the hard part for us to understand, if we didn't have the experience in business, like best way I can describe it is understanding how to make money when you're buying something. Taking an analogy that I've heard from the restaurant industry, the restaurant industry buys at a pound and sells at an ounce. So if I was to take and apply that to laundry, it was understanding how to be financially aware of how you're going to break down how much it costs per pound, how much laundry you're weighing, versus sizing to the machine, to the cost of the machine. And that's where, Jordan, a lot of your resources that we gleaned from and others that are out there in the industry is if you dive into that, you guys teach that stuff. And so it was a great way to understand that. And again, taking that analogy that I said about the restaurant business, they buy at a pound and sell at an ounce. That's what we're doing really in the laundry business. When you're doing, especially in the pickup and delivery, how we started out. If you don't have that, it's tough. If you don't have that knowledge, it's tough. You can lose money really, really quick. That's my statement in it.
Yeah, no, that's 100% true. And I think a lot of people struggle with that getting into the pickup and delivery, whether you own a location or not, is, getting a hold of those numbers and figuring out how they all shake out and how much you should be pricing and how to streamline your expenses and your routes and all. Like, efficiency is huge when it comes to the pickup and delivery side of the business. And you've got to be proactive about both sides, on the revenue side and how much you're charging, but also on the expense side, how much it's costing you to actually drive around and stop, which I love, by the way. I haven't really heard anybody talk about like how much it costs per stop. I was like taking notes. I was like, oh, that's a really good way to think about it. I like that.
Yeah. Cost per stop. That was one thing that we, calculated out. The other part though, that I bring to the table in that early stages of the pickup and delivery is, what's the opportunity cost? You might lose a little bit in those stops, but how much more exposure is it going to be if you have a van that's plastered with your logo or your car, or you can drop a flyer off someplace, or, that type of thing, that it puts you in those locations and you might be not making as much money, or I guess what I'm saying is sometimes it's probably not wise to just focus on the initial, like, this stop makes me this much money or I'm going to be losing it, so I don't want to take it. What other side benefit are you going to get? What other opportunities are you going to get? So you have to kind of evaluate that. So that's one thing that I definitely would like to share with the community is be aware, have an open mind of what opportunities are out there and around. And we can go into a little bit more of that.
I was going to ask you that, like, what, I love, like, obviously, like, the vehicle wrap stuff is a big deal. I know some people wrap vehicles and just park them on busy intersections when they don't have routes going, or I've heard people do all kinds of stuff with wrapped vehicles, which is great. Any other things that you've tried that you felt like have been successful?
So one of the things that I needed to do was to identify customers, right? Because there was different markets, different ideas. That's one thing too, I will say, is if you get into pickup delivery, you're going to go, this is what we did. We're going to go like a shotgun approach. You're going to say, well, we're going to try and sell the pickup delivery to the people that go to the laundromat. Or you're going to sell to a family, like, I guess what I'm saying is identify your avatar. That we definitely would have fast tracked and not had as many mistakes early on if we just identified our avatar, our ideal salesperson, or not our ideal salesperson, our ideal customer. So once we did that, and of course, this is shortly after post-COVID type of thing, I actually, Jordan, started doing door dashing and Instacarting. It put me in different neighborhoods. It made me aware of different markets within our community that would be more ideal with the concept of, or, that would be more accepting, I guess, not ideal, but more accepting of the concept of, well, I can get my laundry done too. I already pay somebody to come cut my grass. I'm already getting somebody to deliver my groceries for. Somebody will do our laundry for us too. And that really helped out Becky and I by doing it, because then we were able to not necessarily probably develop a customer list, but a customer area that we could target. And now there was some tactics of, like, hey, you drop a postcard off, that type of thing. Oh, well, I just delivered groceries to this house. It's a $300 order. They must have 6 kids. I see a Suburban. I bet you they'd be a good customer for laundry. Let's drop them off a postcard, that type of thing. So we did some of that early on. We didn't do it too long until, we just find other methods and means of, like, okay, we got our ideal customer. We got our ideal target markets, different areas within our community. So
Yeah, I think that's genius. Like doing the door. I know some people will probably listen to this and be like, I would never do DoorDash or Instacart or whatever. But listen, I think it's genius. And I think you cannot. My question is going to be like, how did you determine who your avatar was and what they look like? And that's kind of what you're explaining, right?
Yeah.
I think you cannot overemphasize how important it is to know who your customer is. Correct. And what their needs are and how you can meet those needs, you know, through your business. And so, you know, I think it's genius. I think, you know, whatever means necessary to figure that out, that's just going to set you up for success long-term, doing that. So I love that. I love it.
One of the other things too is, you know, put us in areas where now, like, it's intuitive. I think maybe it happens in other parts of the country, at least here in Northern Michigan, when there's a graduating senior, you know, from high school, they stick a yard sign. Well, what do they just tell you? They have a kid, they have a child that's going to college. Well, at Christmas time, would that be an address that you could maybe send a postcard to say, hey, we got this, you know, laundry service. We can do your child's, you know, so those type of opportunities, really has helped us early on to identify that. And just simple things like I said, a yard sign or, you know, and I don't want to get too involved in like creepy thoughts, but, you know, like kids swing sets in the backyard. Well, they're a family. Yeah. You know, maybe knock on their door like, hey, you know.
Well, listen, we all know kids are filthy, disgusting creatures. And so you see a swing set back there and you're like, oh, there's some gremlins living at this house for sure. Let's help these people out and wash these gremlins' clothes because they probably got to peel them off these kids. I know how it goes.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
So that's just some of the things. And like I said, I can't emphasize, and you said too, like identify your market. Yeah. What we thought was going to be our market. We burned through so much time.
Yeah. Well, dude, you know what? I love the Instacart DoorDash thing because you're right. That's like a very similar demographic of who's going to do pickup and delivery laundry a lot of times. But what you did, whether you were like thinking of it this way or not, but what you did was you got paid to do market research, right? For your own business, which I don't know, dude. I'm like, this
the other part of it is too, I want to say this is it helped me develop as we started to scale. It helped me being Becky and I develop relationships now that we can tap into those people that we know that do those DoorDashes and those Instacarts. And then we can ask them to step in as a contractor for us because we've already qualified them.
Yeah.
You know,
dang, man,
that makes sense.
Yeah. It makes a lot of sense. I love it. Like I said, there's going to be people out there. It's not for you. And I get that. It's not going to be for everybody, but getting paid to do some market research to learn sort of how the logistics works too. I mean, if you're going around driving from here and there and stuff, you're learning a little bit of logistics and you're able to connect with potential drivers that you can tap, you know, either to employ or to use as contractors when needed. Like that is all kinds of wins stacking up on top of each other for, you know, very little effort, really. Yeah.
Now, I will say, Waleed talked about that concept. So in one of his YouTube videos that we have followed, and it's like, holy cow.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to say that I thought of it 100%. It has been talked about by a couple other people. So we did.
I'm going to give you credit for it. Waleed, you get no credit, buddy. I'm just kidding. Hey, everybody, while we're talking about it, everybody go sign up for the Laundry CEO conference in Dallas in October. Yeah. So there you go, Waleed. You're getting credit, buddy. Genuinely, I went to the last one and it was like the best laundromat conference I've ever been to. So
really? I'm so
sign up for it. Do as Nicholas did and set yourself a benchmark. And when you hit it and exceed it, buy yourself a ticket for the Laundry CEO conference.
Yeah, sure. Definitely. And then bet it with your wife, you know, because that's right. How I got it, you know.
That's right. I love that. Okay, so you guys started that pickup and delivery, and then how long were you doing it before you decided, hey, let's try to get a location?
Well, so the laundromat friendship that Becky had from early on, and childhood, and then had asked those questions to the daughter and husband, and then the mom. They said, "Hey, we actually have been for sale. Is that something you want to pursue?" So that was the first store that we were looking at, and that's when we discovered that not all laundromats not all laundromat owners own the real estate. Didn't know that. Because they've always rented. The laundromat building was built to be a laundromat, but the businesses that have gone through there through the last 40 years have always rented. So that was a new thought. Like, I didn't know that. Crazy. So we went through that discovery. We were looking to purchase it. And then we hired an attorney and paid him a little bit of money, right? And he said, Gomez family, I think you may want to reevaluate this. And we said, well, why? He says, you're evaluating this as a laundromat. It is actually needing to be evaluated as a dry cleaner because it has a dry cleaner in it. And we're like,
okay,
really? And he said, yeah. So he went on this whole story. He had a client the year before that had purchased a dry cleaner laundromat, and it sends triggers. He went through this whole thing, sends triggers to the environmental, we call it the Eagle or DEQ here in Michigan. Then they settled at $65,000 remediation, which we were like, okay, what's that? That's craziness. And it was all because of the chemical in the dry cleaners called perk. So we learned a ton about that. Like it could have been so disastrous in us doing it if we would have pulled the trigger. And so we backed out of that, and then we kept shopping around, and we were actually going to buy our warehouse and set up shop that way. And then we came to Super Clean Laundry and had a realtor approached and approached the owner. They had owned it for 29 years, I think 28, 29 years before we bought it. And he said, hey, I like that comment in them zeros. Yeah, we'll do that. All right. It worked out to be a better deal because we actually bought the real estate and for us. And then we also acquired a tenant because there was an attached hair salon next door to us. So it was like a win. It was a lot of wins. That being said, we're on a well. So that was a new discovery.
Ooh, okay.
It's a positive. We're on a well with city sewer and a township tax. So that's great, but it's not free like people think because we have water softener. And when we go through we go through 80 pounds of salt a day at times in our peak. So what we don't pay in quote unquote city water bill, we actually pay out in treatment.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. I mean, a lot to unpack there. Just, you know, very high level, just in case anybody doesn't know what he's talking about. So laundromats and dry cleaners they're different businesses. I know they're both in the business of cleaning clothes. They're very different. And I get asked a lot about, their environmental concerns or anything about laundromats. Typically, there's not environmental concerns when you're buying or selling a laundromat or a real estate with a laundromat. But dry cleaners, however, there are implications to that environmentally. And sometimes the remediation he was talking about is where they basically have to go in and clean out the soil and, everything, get all the chemicals out of the soil that leach into it from the dry cleaner. And so that can get very, very expensive. And if you don't know about it before you buy it, which you should, but if you don't, that could be a punch to the gut for sure. And we learned terms like vapor intrusion. What's that? Just different things in that call to the attorney. The other part that we learned is, we thought our lender was kind of dragging their feet. We didn't know why. So we went to the bank that we go through and we just threw the same thing. And they said, we would never finance that. So just in the financing part of it. And the reason why they wouldn't finance it is because it was a dry cleaner. Yeah.
So that was a new discovery. So, that's now as we look to I will share. I mean, in that discovery too. Let me back up here. Becky's goal is to own 7 laundromats. And
Nice.
so that's one of the first questions we ask if we get approached, like, hey, do you want to buy a laundromat? Or, hey, we know there's a laundromat. Like, do you know if it's a dry cleaner? Has it ever been a dry cleaner? That's the first question we ask.
Yeah.
Because that we don't want to get involved in any of the. Well, let me take that. We would now. We have better risk tolerance now, just from the resources we've acquired through ownership and laundry, but and the questions to ask. But we wouldn't have done it 2 years ago. So
yeah. Well, and that's part of like evolving in the business, right? Like, so many people I talk to are, it can get very overwhelming. Like, oh my gosh, like a dry cleaner, and what is remediate? What is vapor intrusion? Like, what is all this stuff? And the learning curve just feels really steep a lot of times, and people just give up. It's easy to give up. And it doesn't have to be like that, right? It's like, take steps until you can't take any steps further, and then look to see if there's anybody else who can help you take more steps. Like, you guys found a lawyer who helped you figure out, like, you're taking steps, but they're going down the wrong path. Here's a better path. And you found the better path and were able to, take it to completion, right? And like, that's what the process of buying a business, building a business, having any kind of success in life looks like. It's not a like, hey, I know all the stuff now, and now I find the perfect thing, or I build the perfect thing. It never looks like that. It's always just people taking steps and then pivoting or turning around and starting over or whatever. That's what it looks like to do it. And then you've got this skill set and this confidence and this network that can help you go to the next bigger thing, whether it's more locations, another business model, delving into dry cleaners, whatever the case may be. But that's what it looks like in that process.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I love that.
So with that, we'll, touching the base where we're at with it now. Like I said, 2 years, officially 2 years as of today.
Happy anniversary, by the way, to you and your wife.
You. Yeah.
Actually, just to you, because your wife didn't even show up for this. So no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it's all good. But what if I could just press upon what I've learned from good resources like the Laundromat Resource and other out there, is identify what your mission is. So anytime that Becky and I are talking about things to do with the laundromat to scale it in different ways, I always come back and I say this to her. You sold me on buying this laundromat under the concept of building pickup and delivery business. That's it. I don't want to hear anymore. I don't want to hear about campers may come. I don't want to hear about this and that. We get asked questions like, hey, I guess you guys are pretty busy because the campers are going to be here. Seasonality is, guess what I'm saying. Or we have a lot of migrant workers, as some places in different countries, and I'm not going to get into the politics of it, but that can hurt businesses. And so when you have a clear focus, like what I keep coming back to, and it's helped ground Becky and I as we've gone through this path, is we identified we're here to build a pickup and delivery business. That's it.
Yep. And
focus on it. It's
I love it.
It's more stable for us anyway.
Yeah. Okay. So then the goal behind buying a location, buying an actual laundromat, was the goal just to kind of bring things in-house to solve the logistical nightmare you referenced, or what was the goal behind buying a location?
To control the environment.
Yeah.
Yeah. To set our own hours, control the environment, retirement investment. We own the real estate, the income from the laundromat, gives us income. And Becky's going to listen to this at some point. She gets mad at me every time I say it. I think it was so that way she could buy me a job.
Get this guy busy. The vending machines aren't cutting it.
So I say that just in fun. But yeah, that's really what it was, is to build the pickup delivery. But there's other things that have come out of that too, though, Jordan. And we talked a little bit before you hit record, is the community aspect. I can't tell you how many moving stories that, and it's hard for me not to get emotional on it, of people that have come into these doors for years. And I was sharing with you a lady, she had a lot of odor to her, animal odor. And, that she was labeled, the cat pee lady, I gotta say it. That's what it was. And before we came in, bought the place. Well, just getting to know her name, she's so awesome, So yeah, the focus has been on the pickup and delivery, but maybe I'm going to say it wrong. The residual effect of it is like the people that come in the self-serve side of it has been so heartwarming. It's been humbling. There are champions. When we don't feel like we're making it, we say, well, if we can't make it, then if it goes away, it's going to affect Veronica.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to affect her family. It's going to affect that. So we have to try and figure it out. We have to be the leaders here. We have to be strong and do it for the people of the community. So that's one thing that I could say is, if you end up going a path and identifying what you want to do, just be open-minded. If I could just impress on people, be open-minded to what the other effects, I think is correct. I say right. The other effects or the other supports that you're going to be giving or getting. And, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
I can't say enough positive about it, so.
Yeah. That story, is, it's funny. Like, I talk a lot about here, like I'm really, really trying to push, whether it's through these interviews, podcast interviews, or the news episodes or whatever, like I'm trying to push, like we have the ability to really make a tangible, real difference in our communities, and not just our communities. And maybe I focus too much on like the big picture community, but we have the ability to make a big difference in someone's life, like she's not cat pee lady anymore, right? Like no. That she's a person, and just learning her name and having conversations with her and getting to know her in the goods and the bads and stuff like that brings value to a person. We have that ability to do that in our communities and on a larger scale also. And it's one of the beautiful things about our industry is that we can make a big difference in individual lives, but also in sort of the overall picture. So I like love that you shared that story, because it's just like a highlight on the impact that we can have in people's lives as laundromat owners. It's just, it's this boring business, right? Like quote unquote, I don't know how boring it always is, but it's a boring business, but like it's a meaningful business. And you talked about it in the sense of like, hey, here's who we're thinking about when stuff is tough. And I know you guys have had some ups and downs too. Maybe we can talk about that in a second, because I've shared mine. But having that why, that like driving why behind what you're doing is huge, right? And just pulling motivation from that is huge. And it does keep you going when things get tough, because they do get tough.
Well, I'd like to, if I was to give it a label, I guess is more properly, we call it, at least I call it my weight and measure evaluation, right? Basically, I'm weighing and measuring where that is. And I use an example where you think you're having a bad day, just talking to, let's say, my brother, or, a family member, like, or a coworker, if you're working, 9 to 5, like Becky's working, her 9 to 5. And I know at times she probably has a go through her mind, like, you have a bad day, you're having a bad day. Well, let me tell you about the lady that lives in a camper that comes to the laundromat, rides a moped 7 miles. And then when she gets here, it takes everything she can just to collect quarters. And then she's watering down her detergent just to make it through. And then, oh, by the way, her kids can't go to school. And so now she's facing truancy. And she feels safe coming to the laundromat because she can see whatever it is on her phone, whether it is in the four walls, whatever the sanctuary that this laundromat built for. And there's a lot of those out there in the community that we've discovered, and I always encourage it. But the weight and measure is in that is like I just ask like, oh, you think your day's bad? I say that to myself. You think your day's bad? And then I put identifiers of people that have come in through these doors or just in the laundry business in itself. Yeah, we don't have it that bad. I don't have it that bad. You know? So, but they feel great. Like they're normal to them. That's normal to live in a camper 365 days a year when the snow is piling on. I couldn't survive that way. But now I know somebody that can, so I have a resource, right? And I have a reason to reach out and seek those people because we have caring hearts, for that. So
yeah, it's pretty cool, man. Very cool. Yep. Listen, so you guys started this pickup and delivery service, and then you ended up buying a location. 2-year anniversary of owning that location today, which congratulations again, by the way. And it's been like totally smooth sailing, right?
No.
Has that been the case? Or
no?
I know I say that jokingly because I know that's not been the case. Even if we hadn't talked beforehand, I would know that's not the case. But I mean, talk to me a little bit about the journey that it's been for you guys and what that's been like.
So how do I feel like I want to start this? The journey is I will just start out with saying this. If this is a path that you feel like you want to serve your community, and you got an entrepreneurship bug or whatever, and we talked about this before you hit record. Let's say you're married or you have a partner, you have a significant other that you answer to, right? Make sure that you're grounded really well, because when you take this behemoth of a business on, whether it's a store of 5 machines or 500 machines, it can weigh on you financially, emotionally. And Becky and I, we've been through all of that. And it's been tough at times. We burned a lot of resources, not just in financials, but in time. Like date nights. Date nights involve folding sheets on a Friday at 8
fitted
o'clock.
Sheets, that'll test your marriage. Folding fitted sheets together.
Yeah, and going next door to the pizza shop and saying, "Hey, Marty, it's date night," and he's like, "We got personal pizzas today. You want pepperoni and she wants ham?" Yeah, okay. So it's kind of. We sacrifice that because it's a business, but we know at some point in time, and that's one thing that we could talk about even later, is we work in the business, but it's not, our end goal is not to do that all the time. And that's one thing that we have to do, that weight measure again. Like, okay, we hit these benchmarks. Now let's start working ourselves out of it. And I know that when we started focusing on that, okay, how are we going to transition ourselves out, that our marriage, our relationship together will become stronger. And then, which, I mean, it is, but back to what your original question is, has it been smooth sailing? No, it hasn't. And in fact, I'll go ahead and start sharing a story, which we're, talking about with AI. Embracing technology. That is one way that has really helped us as a business, and as well as Becky and I's relationship, is because we've invested in technology to help us get through that. Now, Becky, God bless her, she's probably gonna get upset. She'll be 52 this year. I'll be 50. So it seems probably scary. Technology, scary, like this whole AI thing that's out there.
By the way, I don't think AI is going to help you get out of trouble for sharing her age with the world here.
No,
so, yeah,
no.
Sorry about this. It's been really good knowing you though. At this point. If there's anything else you want to leave for the world here, you should do it now.
Yeah, exactly. But so I would like to say, keep an open mind to it, because it really has transformed. When we started implementing the technology and the AI back in February, and I'll go into a deeper personal story in that here in a minute, it catapulted our business, Jordan. It is just so crazy so crazy. And
well, real quick, I mean, because I don't want to interrupt your story here, but one of the things when I was looking for, podcast guests and stuff, you reached out to me and you're like, hey, I had done a live Q&A, live webinar or whatever with Rick Rome on YouTube. You can go find it on YouTube. They're talking about AI for laundromats and stuff. And he specifically shouted you out and you're like, hey, I'm the guy that Rick Rome shouted out. And I was like, dude, we've got to talk here. So that's how we got connected is AI.
Yeah. And it's scary, being at this point in our lives, like, but we had to embrace it. So I'll just start sharing that little bit brief story. And that'll tie into like our journey part of it. Now I'm going to apologize if I get emotional because it is pretty emotional. So back in December, because of being owners a year ago, right? We being me was making business decisions that was going to financially impact us in a major way. I was hiring people. I was growing the business. Becky was working her 9 to 5 and I grew it too fast with too many resources. So when it came to December, I thought that we were okay financially. See the money coming in, see the money coming out. Again, you got to have really strong open communication. If you do this with a partner, if you do this with your wife or husband, however that is, because that communication can save a big disaster. And we were headed that way. So in February, I watched this little YouTube video from a guy by the name of Joe Dan Reed, Kelly Reed. Splash them out. And they were like showing this whole AI, like this phone thing. I'm like, shiny object. I'm like, Beck, what do you want to do? Think about this. She's, I don't know. That's $200 a month. I'll put it on my credit card. If it's a shiny object, I paid for it. But let me backtrack. I didn't know the financial side of how impacting we were at that point in February, right? And but I invested in it. Like, I got to try it because I knew we had to trim. Like, I knew there was something up. I knew we had to trim employees. And we were actually hiring people last summer to just man the phone, basically, to, greet people, to answer the phone, to trust and consistency in our product. And I would go out and do pickup and deliveries as we were doing, because again, that's what we bought the business for, was to build this whole chaotic mess. Right. And so I invested in it. It took a couple weeks. It was new. It was frustrating. Sorry, Rick. It was frustrating at first, but I looked at it like this. So is hiring a new employee. Like, you're going to go through bumps. And you're going to go through bumps, not just with the technology, but with the customer acceptance of it. And you have to learn to navigate that. At times it has been hard, but on the same token, so is a new customer walking through the door. So is hiring a new employee. So this is one of the things that, has really been beneficial to us is we have spider wash. When we purchased the laundromat, we have spider wash. It came with it. And I really did a push on doing loyalty cards. And it's been a huge benefit to the community, as well as us as business owners, because it's like a gift card. I mean, everybody talks about the float, right? Like, that type of thing. So back in February, I invested in that, put it on my credit card. I gave it 3 months. I'm like, hey, I'll pay for it back. She's like, Nick, money's tight. I'm like, yeah, but if we can build it now, build this digital employee, then we will be okay in the summer, because look at how many phone calls we took and like nothing got answered correctly. It was hurting us more. So I did it. I invested in it. Now let me just share this a little personal, and you're going to be the first one I've done. I actually shared it with Rick Rome in a text message last week. Just kind of prepped him a little bit. And this is where I get emotional in it, is I didn't know how hard things were financially. So I invested in Laundromat for AI, and didn't know. I put it on my credit card, get my pay, me paying for it with my business resources and all that stuff. And we get a knock on the door at the laundromat. It's the power company. He says, I need to collect $330 or I'll shut your power off. Like, what? I get on the phone. I'm calling Becky. What's up? She's like, I don't know. Like, I paid it. You didn't tell me this. She says, Nick, it's been so tight. Like, what? You got to be kidding me. She says, I gotta get to work. Like, I'm trying. So she's frustrated. She's breaking down. I'm breaking down. We can't have this shut us down. We can't. So I asked the guy, like, hey, man, what do I got to do? Can I get the account number? I can't get it. Like, I'll pay it. And he's like, yeah. He says, I'll tell you what, this is what the account number is. I'm not supposed to give it to you, but this is what it is. This is the phone number. I got another job I'm going to go do. I'll be back. If it is, I'll get a notification. If it isn't paid, I'll have to shut it off. And I'm upset. I'm breaking down sad, right? And pay it. Things are good. The beauty of the AI and why I'm such a huge advocate for it is then first part of March came, like a week and a half later. There's this thing that happened called a storm, like an ice storm problem. It was just huge, kind of like a tsunami, like it devastated northern Michigan. And because I've got the background with the live bait and tackle, selling stuff on the internet, technology and all that, and building a business online, also with, vending machines and stuff. I knew that it was important to always try and be in a good position on the internet. And the storm happened, and the power company that was coming to shut us off found us as one of the only ones that would do pickup and delivery laundry service. And that call, Jordan, it would not have come with, we wouldn't have gotten that call if we had an employee taking the call. I don't mean to be disrespectful. We have good employees, good staff, but they wouldn't have known how to answer that call. Came in, Bella took the call. She's in her infancy.
Bella's the AI, just so everybody knows. Bella's the AI.
Yeah, Bella's AI. AI, and she routed that. And I just trusted the system. And I see this transcript. I get the call, and Bill's on the other end. He's like, hey, my name is Bill, and I understand you guys do pickup and delivery in northern Michigan. There's been this ice storm. Yeah, okay, Bill. And I just want to know, I got 80 crews. Yes, 80 crews out there. And they've been pounding hard working in the ice storms up in northern Michigan. Is that something you guys could do? Help them with their laundry? What do you need, Bill? That's all it was. What do you need? He's like, well, would you do it? I'm like, whatever it's going to take. What, just let me know. So, okay, I'll pass you off to Kim. So Kim calls, Bella routes it through the AI, the digital employee, right? Routes it through, take it. And that's what started that journey. That belief of AI technology, we needed that call. We had to have that call. But with that came a lot of sacrifice. Because we learned that when the linemen are working those storm duties, they're working 16 on, 8 off, 16 hours on, 8 off. And I literally had to find out where they were, what hotels. And I'm showing up there at 11 o'clock when they're getting off shift at night, 5 o'clock in the morning, delivering back. Hey, when do you need this back? Well, we go back on shift at 7 a.m. Can you be here at 6:30? Absolutely. And it's jumping through that hoops of making sure that happened. Now that extended out our reach. That also extended out our opportunities to the north. It was dangerous because we were still having those ice storms and stuff, and I got to see that a lot of that firsthand, like down trees that everybody talks about, and devastation, power lines all over the place. But then it also helped us get back to the roots of what we started out with, because I was taking and helping linemen because, one, we needed the money. Two, they needed their laundry done, and I'm 2 hours away to the north from our store. I can't bring it back to the store because I'm burning time. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, how do we do this? But yet still, again, make money, be helpful, and get the job done. Well, we'll just go back to our roots. So I reached out to some laundromat owners that were out there in the north that I know and built some relationships with. Said, hey, this is what I got going on. I got 16 lineman outfits here, lineman laundry. Can I come in and use your facility? Are you open? Yep, not a problem. What do you need, Nick? Just open door. So that's the beauty of this community, of this industry, is a lot of times if you just say, hey, what you need, most of the time another owner knows and respects you. They may not want to do the work, but they're going to offer some sort of resource to you. And so that was the beauty of it. The community helped. And so I stopped at different laundromats and was doing laundry at 2 o'clock in the morning for it to, what we call turn and burn, get it back to them. And so what that phone call was, that the AI took, I broke it down, Jordan. It's 28 cents an hour. So how I calculated it was like $200 a month for the service, divide by 30.4 days in a month, then divide it by 24 hours in a day, ends up being like 28 cents an hour, right? That translated into, just as a round figure, it was a little less than it, translated into $3,000. And a statement that you guys have an open credit card. If you want to take and keep doing laundry for these linemen, do it, because they need it. And that built a whole new passion for that type of community, that type of worker. And then also made some other innovative thoughts, is like, well, while I'm here, why don't I just stop at a hotel, give a flyer? And I did that a couple of times. And then I said, hey, I'm here. Laundry is my profession. That's what we do. Oh, by the way, I'm trained to take your laundry and to wash it at our facility, and we have staff that's trained for FR clothing, which is what, fire retardant clothing. And so having that extra knowledge is like, hey, they trust you. You don't use fabric softener in the clothes for them because it's a safety concern, right? And that really helped. One, keep them safe, one, get us business, and then two, just keeping everything flowing. So maybe you can touch a little bit on that, about maybe you know more about FR clothing than I do, Jordan, for the safety stuff. But yeah. So
yeah, no, what an awesome story. We go into the weeds of fire resistant clothing some other time, because the story is really like the crux of this thing, man. I mean, listen, business is hard, right? It's like, it doesn't matter if it's a boring business or an easy business or whatever. Like especially when you're in the service side of things, you've got responsibilities, you've got costs that have to be paid. You've got routes that need to be, like, there's a lot that goes into it. And so it's difficult. And, what's really cool about what's happening in our industry right now is that we're starting to get tools, and you've mentioned a few. You mentioned Spider Wash, you mentioned Bello, the AI for laundromats, right? We're starting to get access to tools that can really make a big difference in the way that we run our businesses. And I don't know that any of this technology yet is making our jobs easier per se, other than maybe Clean Cloud, which is the software that you said you're using, right? Yeah. For pickup and delivery. Yeah. A lot of this technology is allowing us to make better decisions and to move faster and to lock down sales quicker, that kind of stuff. Like it's giving us the capability to serve better and to serve faster. And those are two huge variables when it comes to the value that you provide your clients, right? And if you provide more value, better service, faster service to your clients, you can charge more, which means there's more margin in there for you, more profitability for your business, which means you can serve your customers better, which means you can provide more value, and on and on and on, right? Like there's a virtuous cycle there in business to be able to do that. And to hear your story of like, hey, we were in a bad spot and I didn't even realize how bad of a spot we were. And this technology gave us the ability to start to turn that around, to give us the breath that we needed, the capacity that we needed to keep moving this business forward. That's a huge, huge deal. That's a huge deal.
Yeah, no, true. I mean, and it hasn't stopped. We have now, because of using AI as our phone service, and of course it has other features built into it, text messaging and all that stuff. We just pick up hotels. Like hotels are calling us now and asking, hey, do you have the bandwidth to do this? Well, what do you need? That's pretty much what my go-to is. What do you need? But I can tell you, oh yeah. Well, our bottleneck is, because I may ask, well, what's your bottleneck? What our bottleneck is we have 225 rooms. I said rooms, not beds, rooms. And we have washers and dryers, and I have somebody on there for 10 hours at a time. And it's only, our infrastructure in our hotel is only built for 25 rooms per day. Well, we can turn 900 pounds in 25 minutes in the washer because we have the facility. And that just opens up the doors. But it all comes from the fact that I'm going to say we, because Becky did have to embrace it, even though I fronted it. And now let me fast forward to say this now. Now, the business pays for Bella AI, we wouldn't have been able to have an opportunity had we not taken that, because it's just, it opened up the doors for that technology, because it's just been a beautiful, beautiful roller coaster. And I don't see an end to it, Jordan. I really don't. I don't say that to be, like, oh yeah, go out and invest, everybody's got to get AI. Identify what your weight and measure is, if it's worth it to you or not. I just took a risk and it worked out. And sometimes I think that's what we really need to do in this business, is to identify what our risk tolerances are, and then make sure and double check it, and then know when you need to axe it. Because I gave a timeline. I think I don't know what it is now, but I think Rick, AI for Laundromats, Rick Rome was giving a certain percentage off. And I said, okay, if we don't make $200 to pay for this in 3 months, then we're axing it. Like, it's not going to happen, So that's one thing I just say now. Let me back up and say the first bills that we pay, the electric bill, the gas bill, and AI for laundromats. I mean, yeah. Plus, our insurance, but AI phone service is the top 5 that we pay first thing every month before we take a paycheck. So it's because we believe in the technology, and I just want to make sure I follow up in saying that if you're in that, well, is this something I should invest or not invest? Make sure you do the numbers. Make sure you get into your numbers. And if you have a spouse or a partner, do the checks and balances with them to make sure that you can afford it, or set up a strategic plan to help guide you to that point, because it will definitely be something of value. Yeah, AI for laundromats, any type of AI technology, I embrace it. Like I said, I do the measure of like, what time frame, is it going to be worth it, and evaluate if it's a good fit for the business. And if it isn't, there's no question we axe it, because you have to make sure that it's good for the business and good for your bottom line. So.
Yeah, well, what's interesting, what got me excited about having you on to kind of talk about this from just an operator, real world perspective here is, I don't know exactly how big your business is, but I'm assuming it's not Rick Rome, 25,000 pounds a day size business. And I think one of the questions I hear asked a lot is like, well, if I only have one location or I don't have a massive location, like, is it still worth it? And I mean, I think just hearing you say like, hey, we pay our utility bills and then we pay our AI for laundromat bills. That's pretty ringing endorsement there for it. And I would trade $200 for $3,000 every single month. I'm sure you would too.
Oh yeah.
So man, it's pretty crazy that we have the ability to have access to something like that at a relatively inexpensive price point. You were saying you had people who were basically just there to answer phones and stuff. Well, if you can replace just one, I mean, you're saving money there already, at $200 a month. So
I think what sometimes, and I apologize for interrupting you, I think sometimes it was easy for me to do like $200 a month. That's a lot of money, I know how many quarters that's going to be, and just go through the negative path of that. Right. Yeah. But then I talked to Rick a little bit about it, and I, we went on some different discoveries with different people. And then I had to come back to that analogy, just like a restaurant. You buy at a pound and sell for an ounce. Okay. This is no different. We're buying in bulk of time of a technology at $200 a month. What's that end up being? 28 cents an hour. Now I can identify that. Like, okay, well, 28 cents an hour versus 18 an hour that we're paying an employee, with workman's comp and all that stuff. Which one do you want to do? To answer the phone? Yeah, it was just a no-brainer for us. But yeah. Yeah,
well, and especially as it's like converting sales for you, and listen, dude, like it is a pretty incredible technology. It's pretty crazy that our humble little industry here has access to something like that. And AI for laundromats is one of those options. There's other people who have those options as well. Yeah. And if, feel free to reach out to me if you want like a couple other options that you want to look into multiple. I'm glad to share that. But man, the chance that, a Northern Michigan laundromat and pickup and delivery business has an AI answering service that can basically answer almost any question, or at least get a caller to the right place. Not to mention, some of these companies have AIs that's integrated. I don't know if yours is integrated into your software yet, or if you're able to do that, but some of them are integrated, can actually place orders into your software and route them on the back end there to where it needs to go, so that these orders can just happen. Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy what we can do here.
Now, one of the things too is like, I'm thinking outside the box. What else can this AI agent do? And one of the things that I started to do is, that's how we screen, people that want to come in and work for us here at the laundromat. I say, let me back up and just say this. Before you hit record, I said the key words, like, I was afraid to give out our phone number. Our phone number is 231-839-2000. Like somebody might call me at 2 a.m. Somebody might call the business at 2 a.m. Now, I don't care. I want you to call. Obviously there's going to be checks and balances on that. But the point that I'm getting at is now I've set up through the technology that I'm using Bella to screen our applicants, because that was one of the most frequent questions that we get here. Are you guys hiring? That's who we're paying employees to answer the phone. Like, are you guys hiring? Well, no. that's what they're going to tell because they don't want to give up their hours, right?
Right. Yeah.
They're like, yeah, you don't want to work here, that type of thing. Well, now
right.
when somebody calls in and talks to Bella, like, are you guys hiring? Yes. What position would you like to apply to? We have contract positions. We have laundry processor. Did you want to know what the job description is for that? Well, yeah. Okay. And then we have a program to where she'll send you a text message of that if you ask her to.
Pretty cool.
So Jordan, I even uploaded our employee handbook to Bella, which is crazy. I don't know how I'm going to use it yet, but she's just a tool,
Yeah. Well, and a super powerful tool at that, right? Yeah, that'll be interesting. You'll have to let me know what you come up with. Like, hey, if you got a question, call Bella, like from the store. If you're an employee, you're not sure, what detergent to use. Yeah. Hey Bella, do we get paid time off?
Yeah.
Then Bella can break the bad news that you don't give any paid time on. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No, it's pretty cool. It's pretty powerful. And what I loved about how you framed all of this, like number one, you said it exactly right. It's a tool, right? There's a lot of questions about AI, good, bad. Is it good for business, bad for business, good for employees, bad for employees? It's a tool, right? And can be a super powerful tool. But I also love the way that you framed it in the sense of these tools. It's really easy to like think of them as like, hey, this AI tool and, but it has real world impact, right? Like you told a very emotional story about, struggling financially and how this tool is helping you turn that whole story around, right? And thriving. And so like, this is like, it's tough, right? Like you can think about it the way that you were started off thinking about it, the way that my natural tendency to think about these things is same, right? Is like, man, another $200 a month going out, right? But if you can kind of switch that mindset and say, hey, this is an investment that might pay off, it might not, and be very neutral about it and give it a shot. Like you don't know until you give it a shot. Put it on the credit card if you got to go drive again for DoorDash if you got to raise $200 a month, whatever you got to do, right? Like find something to help propel that business to that next level. Because it's worth it long run. And it's not just about a one-time $3,000 bonus that you got from this business you probably wouldn't have had otherwise. It's the ongoing benefits of that. And when you show up for somebody in that way, you better believe that next time they hear somebody looking for similar type of service, they're going to refer you guys because you showed up for them in the middle of an ice storm. That's a big deal.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you're always, we've been at the top of mind for a lot of situations because somebody's there to answer the phone. And now she doesn't get it always right, but neither does a regular human employee.
Right.
But she's trainable and I mean, I think metaphorically given her human qualities, right? I keep referred to her as she, but, this AI agent doesn't get hurt feelings. I'll tell a real quick story in that. Like we had a lady that was trying to apply to work for us. Match the numbers because we get all that information from the AI agent. Match the numbers from when she called, when she stopped in, when she filled out an application. And because of the way that the AI agent processes a transcript and all that, she actually was cussing at a robot on the phone, right? Would you want that type of person to represent your company, your customers coming in? So that really, that saved us, right? I don't even know how to put a value on that. That's more than $200 a month, right? Because that.
I'll tell you, there's nothing that's going to cost you more than a bad employee. I can tell you that from experience. Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's a key takeaway I'd like to have said and known as we go through this journey with these new technologies and new tools. I'm not as seasoned as some of the other people that I follow and want to put myself next to at some point in time and successes and leadership and stuff in the industry. But technology's there and it's coming. And I think it's a good opportunity to start thinking about embracing it, no matter where you're at in starting or you're a seasoned 30, 40 year store and going to pass it on to somebody. Or, a family. Well, however, if you start setting it up, because this is how I started to evaluate it too, Jordan, and you have more knowledge and experience in evaluating businesses, but this is a tool that is an asset that gets created that adds value to the business. Then you can command a higher price when you go to sell it. Would that be fair to say?
Well, let me ask you this question. If you were looking at two otherwise identical businesses, and one of them had an employee that worked 24/7, never got tired, and was 28 cents an hour and could answer 95% of everybody's questions who called in, and one didn't have that and paid $18 an hour after workers' comp and everything for somebody, like, which one's more attractive to you? Which one would you be willing to pay more for? Right? Like, that's a great, if you don't know, like, that's a great rubric to look through. Like, if there's two businesses, one has it, one doesn't.
Right.
Which one would you prefer? And how much would that be worth to you to have that?
Yeah.
Right. And
not paying for headaches that way,
Yeah. And, like, systems, processes, is more valuable, right? If a business depends on you specifically, or, something that's not reliable, it's going to be less valuable than a business that has systems in place and, and processes in place to deal with issues when they come up or to process orders. And that's what this AI technology is, right? It's a system for you to handle questions, deal with problems, get customer reviews. Bella can do all that, like give directions, all that stuff, right? So this is a system and a process to help you automate a part of your business. And is that more valuable than not having it? Absolutely.
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 Absolutely. Look at it from a standpoint when we were looking at different laundromats, of course, the two, obviously went through the process. One of the things is I would ask is, what's your customer list? Well, we don't have a customer list. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, do you have an employee handbook? What are we buying here? All that stuff to fast track. So tie that into an AI agent or the technology we have now. When we bought this place, it had a handbook, it had all those resources and assets. That was more value because then we didn't have to recreate the wheel. While I look at the AI technology and the technology in general, it's there. We don't have to recreate the wheel. We just have to take the time to learn it and then implement it into our business. So, and not be afraid to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's huge. It's hugely more valuable, right? If you have those tools, those resources already in place, it makes your business hugely more valuable. And if you're someone out there who's looking for a value add laundromat, find one that doesn't have these things in place and implement them, right? That's work that needs to be done that can add value to the business and, drive more revenue for you or more net profit for you and build some equity in your business. But if you're somebody who's, listening to this, who's looking for, something more on the turnkey side of things, like having these things in place is, it's hugely valuable for that person, which there's a lot of people. I work with a lot of people who are looking for something more on the turnkey side. And so I'll say we would love businesses like this, that have this implemented already.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
So.
Well, hey man, this has been incredible. I appreciate you coming on and sharing your story, and not just like the wins, but the ups, the downs, the all arounds. You shared some like very personal, emotional stories, and you shared some emotional customer journey stories. And I can tell it comes through that you're excited about this business, comes through that you are trying different things, which I almost respect that more than anything else that someone, says. Somebody who's willing to try out different things, to go do DoorDash, to learn who the customer is, where they're located, how to reach them, what they're thinking. Somebody who's willing to try, like feeling uncomfortable about using AI because you're not really sure about the technology and how to work it and if you're going to be able to figure it out, but doing it anyways. somebody who's like, I get a call about doing laundry in an ice storm 2 hours away, and you're like, I don't really know how to do it, but we'll get it figured out. Like, that is probably the quality that I respect the most in somebody. So you showed all that today and you shared it. I really appreciate it. And intermingled with all these stories is just so much good, tangible, practical things that we can all implement in our businesses to help us, improve, take our businesses to the next level. So I really appreciate you taking the time to come on. I am sad that your wife wasn't able to join us. So we'll just have to set up another episode so she can be on with us next time. But I appreciate you, man. Thank you for taking the time to do this.
Well, thank you. It's been fun. And like I say, it's a journey, and I can't echo it enough. Having resources like what you put out, Jordan, and others in the industry. There's people out there listening, and you're making an impact. It's been great. Well, so
I appreciate that. I get a lot of the credit, but it's really you guys coming on, sharing your stories. That's the big impact. So I appreciate that. And I will take a small bit of credit and give the rest of it to you and your fellow guests. Last question I have for you before we wrap this thing up, which I'm excited about this question. If somebody wants to connect with you, what's the best way that they can do that?
Yeah, the best way is, I'm going to give you a couple of them, but the first one is call us, man. Call us 231-839-2000, Super Clean Laundry. You're going to talk to Bella. We call her Bella Clean, like super clean, right? And, that's probably one of the ways, to test what we do here. But if you really want to get on the interwebs and find me, I would say probably the easiest way is to find me on Facebook. You can send me a friend request, private message, and then look up Nicholas Gomez or Super Clean Laundry in Lake City, Michigan, just a little place here in Lake City, Michigan, and you can connect with me there. Love to share more ideas and thoughts that we've done, and if you can glean some positive in your journey, it's great to help. So
love it. I love it. Well, thank you again, man. Appreciate it, and look forward to having you and your wife back on the show at some point in the near future here.
Awesome. Thank you.
I hope you love that episode. It was so invigorating for me. However, once again, as always, you will have wasted your entire time listening to that whole episode if you don't pick at least one thing and put it into action today, if possible, or at least this week. Those actions that we stack on top of each other, that's what's going to help you achieve your goals and get to where you want to go in life. Build the life that you want to build. So, with that said, pick something. Maybe it has something to do with AI. Maybe it's something, a little more tangible for your business. Or maybe, just maybe, that one action step you need to take right now is to head to laundromatresource.com/Hawaii. Click that button that says enroll now or sign up or whatever the button says. I don't even know off the top of my head. But click that button and book yourself a tax write-offable trip to Hawaii to geek out on laundromats with me, Ryan Borneman from Fresh Leads Marketing, and a whole bunch of other laundromat nerds. All right. We'll see some of you guys there out here in paradise. Peace.